from Atlantic City, New Jersey, weighing in at 195 pounds. He is a former ECWA Mid-Atlantic Heavyweight Champion. He is a former ECWA Unified World Heavyweight Champion. He is the Heart Killer. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing Chris Wylde! Led to the ring by Joel Blackheart, representing the Blackhearts from Syracuse, New York, weighing tonight at 201 pounds. He is the current ECWA Unified World Heavyweight Champion, ladies and gentlemen, Josh Daniels!
The formalities are over, and with a brief transfer of the belt to the referee, Mike Keener, and a check of Josh Daniels' equipment, we will begin a 30-minute Iron Man contest. You've heard the rules. The man who scores the most falls, submissions, or other type of victory over their opponent in the course of the half hour will be crowned the ECWA Unified Heavyweight Champion. And I believe, and we'll find out if we get to this point, we'll either have a draw at the 30 minutes if we're tied, or we will go to overtime, but we will wait to hear officially what they'll do. They've not announced yet what they will do in the event of a tie. Interesting side note, but we know this much. There is controversy from January. We know that Josh Daniels is eminently talented. Maybe he could have beaten Chris Wylde on the merits, but we won't know that, at least not until this next 30 minutes is up. For Chris Wylde, he wants to get back that belt that he said it himself after he lost it in January. It made going home to the kids, beaten, battered, and bruised, tolerable. He's the great story, the guy who came to ECWA as a fan, came back as a wrestler, made it to the top. He wants that belt back. He feels it belongs to him, and he's going to prove it tonight. He's up against formidable opposition. Josh Daniels, I would contend, the best technical wrestler in this company, and that includes Papa Don. Fantastic mat technician. There's a litany of submissions he can employ here tonight to get falls. Up on our big screen here in the arena, we have the countdown clock. The first 30 seconds have transpired. And you can see Chris Wylde has come out with a house of fire. In terms of game plan, Anthony, let's start with Chris Wylde. He's come out, he's very excited. A lot of early offense. What's he going to have to do to win the most falls over the half hour?
Keep doing exactly what he's doing. You don't give up. He comes in with, he's got a head of steam. You can see him, he's bouncing around, he can't stand still. He's got to stick with that the whole time. The minute he gives Josh Daniels an opening, Josh Daniels will pounce on him.
Big Irish whip there.
He's got to go right back at him.
Taking his time here, and like you said, that might be the fatal flaw.
You can't taunt somebody like Josh Daniels. You can't, as much as he wants the crowd in it, stuff like this, as much as Chris Wylde always does this, he can't be doing this in this match if he wants this belt back.
And you remember in January, Wylde early on was really impressive, and then Daniels, almost like he baited the hook, kind of like flipped the switch and turned it on and kind of dictated the rest of the match until that controversial finish. So you wonder if maybe that might not be Daniels' game plan. Now let's get to the other side for the champion. To retain in this match, what must he do to be successful?
Well, to retain in this match, Josh Daniels, as the saying goes, he doesn't necessarily have to beat Chris Wylde. Chris Wylde has to beat him for the belt. So if there's a draw, we may need a definite winner, but at least if he pushes Chris Wylde far enough where he can draw at the end, where he can, even if they don't get any pinfalls whatsoever, Josh Daniels basically only needs one fall. If he can do it without Chris Wylde getting any falls, and he doesn't get any at the end, he just needs that one fall to keep his belt. Chris Wylde really has to do a lot more work, as far as I'm concerned, to win the belt than Josh Daniels does to keep it.
Both men's chests already lit up like Christmas trees from a barrage of chops. And there we go, Daniels, almost on cue, was on the receiving end for much of the opening part of the contest. We are 3 minutes in now.
What do you say? 3 minutes.
Applies the side headlock. Product of Syracuse, New York. Against the guy from Atlantic City.
Come on, Walt.
Two hard-scrabble towns producing two entirely different types of wrestlers.
Come on, Chris.
The cerebral Daniels and the gutty Chris Wylde.
Hey, come on.
Wylde tries to throw him off, but Daniels has the hair.
Now Daniels, as much as a disqualification won't necessarily end the match, if Daniels gets disqualified for any reason, that's a fall, and that's a notch up there in Chris Wylde's in Chris Wylde's column, and that'll put him up 1 fall to none. So Josh Daniels has to be very careful, and with somebody like Joel Blackheart on the outside of the ring, you really have to be careful what you do and what you allow your manager outside to do.
Here's a question I have been thinking about this big shoulder block there. Wylde folded over. Kind of in the couple weeks leading up to this, would you trade a DQ if, let's say, you got a table and you put him through it and you could get a couple quick pinfalls that way, or a chair shot, or you saw a kendo stick earlier? Are there reasonable trade-offs you can make? I'll take a fall here if it means I get 2 later.
I think it depends on who you're facing. Honestly, I don't think either one of these men, I don't think you can chance that. Because if Chris Wylde, let's say, was the one to do that, and to take, let's say, a table, put it in the middle of the ring, and even huge, like, powerbomb through the table on Josh Daniels, you don't know for sure, as resilient as Josh Daniels is, you don't know you're going to get that pinfall. So you may be disqualified for the table, but you don't know you're getting the fall.
I want to point something out. Wylde imploring Mike Keener to put the count on, and that's a wise move. Because a count out is a fall. Oh my goodness! Barrel roll over the top by Chris Wylde, laying out Daniels. And now a new 10 count will start. And you wonder why Wylde isn't trying to batter down Daniels a little more and then dive in to beat the count.
I think he's, and rightfully so, I don't think he trusts Joel Blackheart.
Now a reset on the count, don't know why, from Mike Keener. He's at 4. Big knife edge chop.
I think he knows that both of these men, well, you got to figure it this way. He knows that both of these men are here to fight. And he knows they're going to fight. They don't really care what the referee says, especially if both of them are outside the ring.
First pin attempt of the night yields a 2.
You got to figure if both of them are outside the ring, there's no double count-out finish to this match.
We are nearly 6 minutes in, and Wylde going for, I believe, an inverted STF. Bridging across, locking the hands across the jaw of Daniels. Daniels will try to work toward the bottom rope.
And that makes it that much harder, the fact that Josh Daniels' legs are caught up with Chris Wylde, so there's much less he has to work with to drag himself to the rope. He's managing to do it anyway.
Wylde resting so much of his weight on the crown of his head. Incredible agility from the once and possibly future champion. I guess the other question here, at what point in a submission situation do you just yield to avoid taking too much damage if you're in the moment here? Josh Daniels, although he moots it now by reaching the bottom rope. But moving forward, let's say you see a Kata Hajime, and he's dead center of the ring, and you know it's going to take a lot out of you. You just tap immediately and avoid taking too much damage?
I think it depends on how far into the match you are and who you are. I mean, Josh Daniels, he may be able to. He might be able to get away with it. I think he has enough confidence and ability to know that, yeah, okay, I'm going to tap, and I'm going to come right back, and I'm going to get a fall on my own.
Big back elbow from Wylde. We are now over 7 minutes in. We have yet to see a fall in this 30-minute Iron Man contest. Ooh. Big back elbow from Daniels.
I think Daniels needs to hit Wylde on the other side of his face to put his jaw back in place.
Big knife edge chop charging in from the champion. You can feel the tension in the room.
Come on, Josh. Come on, Josh.
Irish whip reversed by Wylde, charging in. Daniels dodges and turns Wylde inside out, upside down, every which way but Sunday with a massive clothesline. And a nice snap suplex by the champion. Cover, 2. And now wait a minute, floats him over. Has him in a crucifix type position.
Almost a Rings of Saturn looking submission.
And now it's Wylde who's compromised in the middle of the ring in a much harder spot here. He's got to back up and hope to get a foot on the rope as Josh Daniels controls both arms.
You know, the problem here, at least Josh Daniels had his hands when Chris Wylde had that inverted STF. Josh Daniels had his hands to pull himself with. Chris Wylde.
Oh, wait a minute! We have our first fall! We have our first fall! Chris Wylde.
1 minute, 25 seconds remaining. The winner of your first fall, Josh Daniels.
Josh Daniels, by submission, goes up 1-0 on the challenger, Chris Wylde, and this room has gone dead.
See, now in a match like this, it wouldn't be a terrible idea for Josh Daniels to go and get Chris Wylde, drag him back into the middle of the ring, and do the exact same thing again.
Well, and maybe that's what you're seeing Joel Blackheart implore his charge to do. Get him back in here, put him back in that hold.
And Wylde knows he can do that. That's why he's moving away from him.
The Salt City Stretcher compromised the arm enough and got the first fall. Now the champion, Josh Daniels, on the outside. A thunderous chop across the chest, but an answer from Wylde.
See, now what happens here is if these two men get counted out, if there's a double count out here, Josh Daniels is already up by 1 fall. So yes, Chris Wylde would get a fall, but Josh Daniels would as well, so he'd still be up by 1.
We're at 5 on the referee's count. Big European uppercut there from Wylde. Daniels rolls in. Wylde in pursuit, up and over. Nice senton. Outside in.
Now you got to wonder if, as this match goes on, if what Josh Daniels just did to Chris Wylde is going to affect him. If his arms are going to be significantly weaker for the rest of the match.
You can see him favoring that left arm significantly. That was
kind of like cradling it there, right in his midsection.
You kind of thought it might have been the right arm, but you know, with that arm pinned, the right at least you can kind of angle it. That left was pinned under entirely. Daniels, nice counter. Wanted the back suplex, couldn't get it. Wylde up and over. Knee to the face, and that knee was exposed. The knee pad was down from Wylde. Don't know when that happened, but that was that much more damaging to the champ. Now Wylde sizes him up. Daniels up to his feet, block, and takes down the challenger.
Speaking of the exposed knee, it looks like Josh Daniels just kicked that exposed knee of Chris Wylde.
Oh, goodness me. Flesh on flesh. A big kick to the chest. Front, back, the assault from the champion. You wonder how much of this from Daniels is him trying to silence the critics after the controversial ending in January. Because you know he thinks he's better than Chris Wylde. He wants to prove it on the big stage here tonight. And I think he wants to do it convincingly.
See, I think Josh Daniels is confident, maybe overconfident in himself right now because he has the 1 fall. He probably figures, you know what, I can beat this guy anytime I want to. I can get a fall anytime I want to. The problem is going to be where something's going to happen like the way Chris Wylde won the Unified Championship. Was that out of nowhere he gets a submission in and then bang, you have a fall. You know, so Josh Daniels, he can't rely on the 1 fall. He has to keep going at it. He has to keep going at it no matter what it looks like from the other side, no matter how much it looks like, okay, I'm going to beat him, I'm going to beat him. He can't rest. The same way Chris Wylde can't rest, Josh Daniels can't either.
More than 12 minutes into this 30-minute Ironman match, the score 1-0. The champion Josh Daniels in front, and Chris Wylde now deposited on the outside. And Mike Keener,
Daniels taking a breather,
will start the 10 count.
And watching the clock, Daniels just took a look back at the clock to see how much time was left in the match. We still had 17.5 minutes.
The best and perhaps only friend in the world Josh Daniels needs right now is that clock to wind down to 0. Wylde back in, but takes a shot to that compromised left arm. And it's incredible how this crowd, ever since that fall, nice suplex, had that left arm hammerlocked behind, and it took the brunt of the impact. But this crowd, since the first fall, has gotten really tense, really quiet. They're hopeful, but they're not seeing signs right now from their fan favorite, Chris Wylde.
Let's go.
You know what I'm actually very surprised at? The fact that Joel Blackheart is not as loud as we normally hear him.
Well, he doesn't need to be. Who's he shouting over right now?
Oh, he never has to shout over anybody. He still does it anyway.
Wylde trying to fight back, but Daniels has full control. That left arm so weakened. He is going to work. It is a clinic from Josh Daniels.
Come on, Wylde, what do you say? Come on, Chris, talk to me.
Daniels, now you see him torquing that wrist, applying additional pressure on the arm.
He's got the knee back there, right in the armpit of Wylde.
Beautiful technical display. What you may think of him, you have to parse out from what he is, and what he is an exceptionally gifted technical wrestler. But now wait a minute, Wylde rolls through, kicks up. First offense in a while from the challenger. Oh my goodness! A vicious Luthez press. And now he's got the arm, cross arm breaker. Cross arm breaker. Will he tap?
I'm surprised Wylde's even holding out this long for something like that.
Let's see. Daniels has it deep. Wylde trying to fight. He should be rolling toward that left arm to alleviate the pressure.
There
he
goes.
does. Rolls in. Gets a pinning attempt. Daniels kicks out, but then Wylde gets the rope. And the champion will use the 5 count to extract as much as he can.
He's a smart man right there.
Still 1-0.
The ligaments in that arm, the tendons all just being torn apart move by move. And again with that arm under.
15 minutes remaining.
You hear the ring announcer, Bob Ortiz, halfway home. 2.5. And here we go again. Daniels has that left arm. Deep arm bar.
Come on, Wylde, keep talking to me. What do you say?
You notice both of these men are, if even in the slightest, both of these men are wearing gold one way or the other. So Josh Daniels comes in with the gold around his waist and on the side of his legs. And Chris Wylde comes in with the gold tights. Both of them hoping that they walk out with the gold around their waist.
There you see Wylde trying to get any momentum, get out of that predicament. Time becoming a factor. 14 minutes or thereabouts to go. Wylde building ahead of steam. Kata Hajime! Kata Hajime, is it in fully? I don't know. It doesn't look it.
I think Daniels is fighting it.
Daniels is turning side out on the move. Wylde's got to get the back to fully realize
it is. Wylde doesn't have enough power in his arm to get it locked in.
Dropped.
Come on, Wylde, what do you say?
Left arm pulled down by Daniels, escaping the
Wylde, let me stop
predicament.
it. Come on, let me stop it.
Break that arm off, Josh.
13.5 minutes to go. The score 1-0 Daniels.
What's to go?
You see him look at the clock.
What's to go?
One of the things that's helping Daniels here is that Chris Wylde is so hurt. He's in so much pain from his arm that while he's on the mat, writhing in pain, Daniels, all he has to do is sit there and watch the clock and just watch the seconds tick away.
Break the choke. 1,
Daniels plying the boot across the face and neck of the former champion.
See, but Daniels knows the rules in the match. He knows he's got the 5 count, and he takes advantage of it every single time.
Wylde trying to fight back, but in vain. It has been almost all Daniels after the opening 5 minutes. Got the first fall about 8 minutes in. He drops Wylde with a huge knife-edge chop.
Come on, Josh, get him out of there.
Did Did Wylde just ask for another chop?
He did, and he's doing it again, it appears.
He's shaking him. He's shaking it off.
Boys, let's go.
Almost like that's not enough. That's not going to do me in.
Come on, Josh, break
And now
it.
Oh, that's a
Daniels.
blatant choke.
But as you said before, he will use the 5 count and literally take the wind out of his opponent.
Wylde is in such bad shape right now that Daniels, every time he's on the offense and he finishes with something big, he'll walk away, he'll take a breather, look around a little bit, and go right back at it. I've never seen him this. I mean, he's usually nonchalant in the ring and very cocky, but I've never seen him like this, where he would go and attack you, walk away, and take a breather, and then come back just for fun.
I wouldn't say nonchalant. I think he's being measured. I think he knows he's got a very compromised opponent who he has literally put from pillar to post in this contest. Covered. 2. And really, I think they're just covering him to make him kick out. I mean, he's in firm control. And now he's got that arm again, and this is why he can take those breaks, because at any time he snaps the arm back, bars it out, and he can get Wylde to tap out.
It's almost like Daniels is looking at Wylde and saying, oh, just in case you thought you were getting back into this match, let me remind you who's in control.
Referee Mike Keener in position, checking on Chris Wylde. Wylde, he's going to work toward the bottom rope nearest the entranceway. And he gets there. 5 count administered, and again we will see, I guess Joel Blackheart there finally makes himself known, nearly 20 minutes in.
Keener's not having any of that, though. The minute he went for Wylde, Keener opened his mouth and said, don't you even try it. Got just over 10 minutes left in the match. Daniels still up by 1.
It just feels more than that, though. I mean, there's 1-0, and then there's 1-0, as in no offense, no shred of hope. It has been a stifling performance by Josh Daniels ever since the opening salvo. But here, Wylde ducks out of the way, goes up top. Could this be an opening? Big back elbow from the top rope.
I was just going to say, you got to wonder if Wylde is letting Daniels gas himself out.
2 big clotheslines by the challenger. Back elbow. Daniels into the corner, and he just flops out of the ring. Maybe that's the wise call here by the champion, but Wylde in pursuit. Hard to see from our vantage point. You can see Wylde putting a boot to Daniels. Mike Keener administering the counts again.
Now I'm sure Wylde could have hit Daniels with a nice, big, powerful move on the outside and come back in the ring, but I don't think he wants it that way.
I don't know if he has the juice left in the left arm to get there. We are 9 minutes to go. Wylde's going to go up top, but look at Blackheart. He's looking right at him. Would he head him off? Could he head him off? But he knows the referee Mike Keener can see him. And it's mooted as Josh Daniels baits him in with playing some possum. Now Daniels to the middle rope. Has the head, has the arm, looking for a superplex. Yes, sir! Big top rope maneuver.
I don't doubt for a second Daniels could have a 3 count right here, but he's so tired out. And that superplex alone took so much out of him, it's going to be hard for him to just turn around. And by the time he does drape that arm over Chris Wylde, it may be a little bit too late.
He rolls over. Keener at a 5 count with both men down.
6.
Cover, hooks a leg. 2 and a half.
Now you see how smart Josh Daniels is here. All he had to do was turn around and put his arm on top of Chris Wylde, but he went that extra step knowing that he would get the leverage by hooking the leg.
Under 8. 1-0 Daniels. Time now a huge factor for Chris Wylde if he wants to stay in this. Floats over, Kata Hajime! Kata Hajime out of nowhere! But Daniels goes after the compromised arm.
I think Daniels did a little bit too much Super kick! Super kick! Hooks the leg, cover! 1, 2, 3, we are tied! We are tied!
7 minutes and 24 seconds remaining. It is now tied. One apiece. It's 7 minutes remaining.
Lightning in a bottle from the challenger. And I want to point something out here. Mike Keener, to make sure he didn't miss anything there, left the ring to administer the count. Great veteran officiating. Made sure that Daniels didn't grab the rope and have it missed. And now here we are. Home stretch. 6:50 to go.
And by doing what Keener did, he stifled Joel Blackheart, which is hard enough to do, but he stifled Joel Blackheart because when he came out to make that count, Joel Blackheart had no other choice.
Now,
he couldn't argue.
Wylde to the top, Blackheart. All he can do is watch here. Keener's got an eye on him.
Oh.
Senton! Senton from Wylde. He's going to go for the cover. 1, 2, 2 3/4. We almost had a lead change. Chris Wylde with a big senton. You saw reflexively Joel Blackheart try to reach up, but it was far too late. And could you imagine if Josh Daniels lost the belt because of interference by his manager?
And you got to wonder how much longer that would have been his manager.
Come on! Now you see Chris Wylde. He is tuning up the band, folks.
Daniels, forget the senton. I think Daniels is still feeling that first super kick.
Well, it's the suddenness of it. I mean, it's one thing you get caught with something you might anticipate. That came out of nowhere. Flush on the chin. Daniels staggering to his feet. He turns around. Wylde hooks him up. Floats over, caught the Hajime. Third try. Will he lock it in?
Will the third time be a charm? Wylde has to drop and get those legs around for the most effect. And Daniels is just
He's dropping.
fading.
He's dropping. Face first on the mat. Referee Mike Keener in position. We'll see if he...
5 minutes remaining.
And there you hear Bob Ortiz. We are under
Is he going
5
to
minutes.
respond?
That's one. Twice the hand hits the
Dropped
mat.
twice.
Hand is up though.
Wow, by centimeters.
Come on, man, get that strength up.
And now Daniels fighting back, digging deep in the tank. Love him or hate him, the champion, fighting to survive.
I think the only thing that kept him awake, that made him come back, was that announcement by Bob Ortiz saying 5 minutes remaining. Josh Daniels knew if he lets his arm drop, he only has 5 minutes to come back.
Come on, Josh.
And Daniels now with that enziguri maneuver, taking down the challenger. I hadn't thought of the announcement having an impact there, but you're absolutely right. You hear that, it jolts you back. So an assist to Bob Ortiz.
You can beat him, man. You can beat this kid.
Especially considering how much damage Josh Daniels has done to Chris Wylde. Now all of a sudden, Chris Wylde gets this second wind.
Come on, Josh.
Josh Daniels can't risk it at this point.
We are under 4 minutes to go. Both men on their knees, trading blows. A pair of rights, now a third. This one from Daniels. Now it's Wylde answering back.
Come on, boys, open the fists up. Let's keep it clean.
Wylde taunting Daniels.
Huge right hand from the champion. But an answer from the challenger.
Josh Daniels, when he's hitting Chris Wylde, it's almost like he's telling Chris Wylde, you wanted another hit, you got one.
Now a headbutt for a headbutt. And the champion
We're
face
down to
first.
3 minutes.
3 minutes remain.
Cut the tension in the room with a knife.
I think these men are so exhausted. and so just out of gas that they're just fighting to put anything out there as far as offense goes.
Back and forth with right hands. Looks like the end of Rocky II in there. Both men just staggering out on their feet, but somehow managing to stay up. And a double clothesline, and down both men go. And referee Mike Keener will have no choice. It will be 10 count time. Under 2 minutes remain in this, our main event unified championship match. We are tied at 1 fall apiece. The count grows to 5. Wylde a little further along. And now Keener will call it. Wylde up first, but Daniels close behind. He's got Wylde. Wylde counters, rolls him over, cover, 2. Kick out by Daniels at 2.5. Now Daniels.
We got less than 90 seconds left.
Another cover, 2. Back and forth, now another pinning attempt. 2.5 again.
Come on, Josh.
And now it appears,
Is that the Kata Hajime
it appears to be the Kata Hajime.
Come on, Josh.
1 minute, 5 seconds. Can Chris Wylde pull off
1 minute remaining.
an enormous rally?
Come on, Josh.
Down 1-0, seemingly no hope. A fall off a super kick. Now the Kata Hajime back in.
Well, we're tied right now.
Come on, here we go.
Arm is down.
He's still up.
Stays up. Goes down though. Let's see.
2.
That's 2. It didn't stay up the first time. This could be it.
He's up. He's up.
And it stays
Just
up.
barely up again. We're down to 30 seconds. Can Josh Daniels hold on at least 30 seconds more? If he can, he may have a little bit of a breather.
Daniels trying to work toward the rope. He's still in that maneuver. Wylde won't relent. 18 seconds now.
15 seconds remaining.
Checks the arm.
Daniels has to,
Checks the arm.
he's still up.
How
We
is
got 5 seconds to go.
1, 2, 3. Josh Daniels has scored a pinfall.
And the time is up.
That
The
is
time
it.
is up.
And I believe Josh Daniels has scored a pinfall to retain his title. We will find out in a moment.
Keener's asking for the belt.
Ladies and gentlemen, winning the match 2-1, the Iron Man match 2-1. Your winner and still ECWA Unified World Heavyweight Champion, Josh Daniels.
An unbelievable conclusion to our main event.